Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. It's going to be fun when we get this all figured out
Yes.
and have kind of a really produced thing.
We might look professional.
Well, we might. It's all right. We're professionals in our day jobs. How are you?
I'm good, my turtle. How are you?
I'm all right. Another morning of sleeping in for me. I'm having a rough time. August is often a rough month for me.
Yeah, it is.
I don't sleep very well as it is. And August always feels, even though I'm not really in a school rhythm, I kind of get that back to school rhythm and I feel anxiety and I blah, blah, blah. So I'm not sleeping well at all lately. So thanks for letting me sleep in through spin.
Yes, I went to Spinner's Billy No Mates today.
Devastating.
It was.
And you were heavily judged, I bet.
I bet I was.
I bet I was heavily judged for not being
They all looked
there.
at me and go, no, there's the Catholic with no friends.
Yeah, it's true. So today we're talking about something that has kind of been a through line in my life. So I have to give you a little backstory. When Quinn was 3, so about 21 years ago, the Methodist Conference of the Dakotas Territory decided that they would host a weekend camp for single moms and their children at one of the campgrounds in South Dakota. And each of the churches decided that they would pay for any single mom and her children who wanted to go. So my church had 3 single moms. Between us, we had 4 children. And so they gave us a van. I drove us down to Lake Poinsett. And I didn't really have any expectations for what the weekend was going to be like. It felt kind of nice to get away and whatever. So I got there. There were probably 35 moms maybe, and who knows how many kids. And we had shared activities and separate activities. And so the mom conversations were, have really stuck with me. So let's keep in mind, at this point, I am 26 years old. I'm living in income-based housing. I've just finished getting an additional degree. So I have a theater degree that I had before I had Quinn, and I have an English Ed licensure. In the fall, I'm about to start a master's program in English. But we're living in income-based housing, and we are, on paper, very, very poor. So I didn't go in with any expectation that I was going to be the lucky one. But I walked in, and these women's stories were things like, well, the last time my ex-husband beat me unconscious, or the last time I took my children to visit my ex-husband in jail, or my boyfriend walked out on me when he found out I was pregnant, or I'm not sure who the father of my child is, or, I mean, the stories went from bad to worse to the worst, and everybody's going around in a circle. And I'm listening to these stories and I'm thinking, I don't have anything to say here. Like, my life looks like lollipop land compared to these women. And in a lot of ways, my life was great. Quinn didn't have health or mental challenge, physical or mental health problems. I had all this education. My family was very supportive. Quinn's dad's family was super supportive. Quinn's dad and I didn't get married, but he was in the picture. I mean, my life was pretty good.
I remember Jake's parents were incredibly
Oh my gosh, and continue to be.
Continue to be. Yeah.
And kind to you.
Yeah.
I mean, they were at our wedding. We've been at their house.
No, they're nice people.
They're fabulous people. So I said nothing, because I had nothing to say, because everything I would have said, my worst was so much better than everybody else's best, that it left me feeling like, well, this isn't my group of people. I don't have anything in common with these women, despite the fact that we are single mothers who happen to be Methodist, blah, 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 blah. So when Maz started going to AA, somebody at Prairie suggested that I look at Al-Anon. And I immediately recoiled is kind of a strong word, but I had an immediate reaction that I didn't want to go do that. Because my experience with an addict, while terrible for me and not great in so many, many ways, is so much better than what I know most spouses' experience with an addict is. First of all, and I'm sorry to say this, but we never had any biological children together. So, you know, I didn't have young children in the house when this was happening, which we would have had if we'd had children together. Or I would have had the anxiousness of, did this addiction, is this a genetic pass on to this little person we've produced, which
that's
is
things,
often the
these are
case.
things you have to think about.
We were older, we were financially okay. I mean, I don't want to go to an Al-Anon meeting and listen to stories and feel like I don't get to express my own struggles, because my own struggles are so much better than most other people's. You know, you never laid a hand on me. Never. And I'm going to be honest, I think I've told you this. I kind of tried to get him once to do something back to me because I was so furious, and I just thought, well, maybe if we can just fight it out, I'll feel better. I mean, that's how tough it got. I came after you. I came after this poor little arm with my one and only punch of my whole life, and I must have landed a lucky strike because your arm looks terrible for weeks.
That was a punch, girl.
Yeah, thanks. But
it's all the Rocky films you like to watch.
You didn't even ball up your fist. I mean, I'm afraid to go to Al-Anon because I don't want to go there and feel like I don't belong there either. So you're going to talk about some things in a second, but I guess my question to you all in the listening world, watching world is, have any of you been to Al-Anon? Do any of you go to Al-Anon? It doesn't have to be an Al-Anon in Fargo-Moorhead. But am I just missing a really rich opportunity because I'm making assumptions that aren't fair or aren't accurate? I would love to hear from someone who's gone, because I'm being honest, I'm afraid to go by myself. Because I don't want to go through that again. It was terrible. It was terrible to feel like my stories didn't have value because they weren't awful. They've been awful for me. So that's what we're thinking about today. So if you've been to Al-Anon, if you would share that with me, you know, I keep saying this, but you know I'll never share your name. Obviously not about something like Alcoholics Anonymous. That feels like a particular place to not do that. But I would love to have some guidance, because I don't want to start this by myself. And I do kind of feel like I maybe need to go, or I need to find somebody who's further down the path than I am, who can help me work through some stuff.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but praise about Al-Anon. You don't. There's no contingency. You know, they won't turn their back on you. You won't. It's not like you can only go if your significant other is going to a program. You can go without them seeking help. Al-Anon is set up as an organisation to help the significant others of people who suffer from the disease of addiction. I mean, it is a disease, and one of the things I've learned in AA is that everything that I did that I personally feel shameful about, they all did it too. It's one of the finding out you're not alone in this was a big help.
Or you're not unique to it.
You're not unique to it. In fact, I am lucky in a whole host of reasons. Sometimes I feel guilty about going to AA because my life is actually really good. But I personally like to go because it does help me. It does center me. I do hear some things that resonate with me, and I've been told by people that, you know, when I speak, it makes sense. I mean, for the first year I went to AA meetings, I didn't say a word because I had to listen. I hadn't listened to anyone Dana will tell you, I hadn't listened to anyone for years, so I listened. In fact, it was nearly a year before I said anything, apart from hi, I'm Maz, I'm an alcoholic. But I listened, and if you go to an Al-Anon meeting, they're not going to think you're the Al-Anon wallflower. You can sit there and just say, hey, I just need to listen. And everyone will nod, not judge you, and you'll listen. There are closed and open Al-Anon meetings too.
Oh.
So you can take a friend if you want. You don't. So open ones means that you can go with a friend for moral support whose significant other isn't an addict. Or there are closed ones, and no one will ever say anything. You know, what you say, what you say there stays there. Same with AA meetings.
So let me just follow this up a little. How do you talk in AA about how remarkable our life is and not look around and feel bad that many other people's experience has not been this? How do you manage that?
You know, for about 2 years I didn't know what to say, and then when I put my third year chip up just this February gone, I just thought, you know what? Maybe the hopeful stories are something that can help them. So I just say, whenever I speak, I just say, you know, I got nothing to say, but I think it's powerful, and some people have agreed with me. It's important for the new people coming in, because my AA meeting is at Prairie, which is a treatment centre. So every couple of weeks you see some new people right at the start of their journey. Saying something hopeful is of great benefit to them. And I remember my first AA meeting that Friday night. I was in treatment for 1 day, and someone was getting their 30-year chip, and he the guy was a comedian. But then he joked, and everyone laughed, and then he went back and said, 30 years ago, this is what happened to me. And I was like, oh my God. But the hope resonated in me that this program obviously works, because this person had it to go. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen fathers, sons, mothers, daughters give each other chips. You know, people who were best friends for 20 years because they've been sober together for 20 years, you know. Remember a guy got his 40th year chip, and he was on about what he did in those 40 years. He said, I've been successfully married for 50 years because I've been sober for 40 years. And I have grandparents that love me. And he kept saying, grandchildren who love me because I've been sober for 40 years. Things like that give you hope. So even if you've had a fantastic week, I just say, so look, I've had a fantastic week. Tell them what it is. I said, and, you know, I'm always aware that no one else does, but I'm here to tell you that there is hope. I'm going to have a bad week, but right now I've had a great week. And that helps too. So you could go to an Al-Anon meeting and say, you know, everything's fine. Or you can go to an Al-Anon meeting, listen, and when you're ready, you can just say, this is what's happening. Totally up to you.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, just listening, how much that helps. I mean, I'm getting probably some of the best form of therapy for nothing. And it's really helped in these last 3.5 years.
So I guess the question for you, audience, just to, if you came in late, is if you've ever been to an Al-Anon meeting, if you currently go to them, whether you go in Fargo Moorhead or someplace else, I do feel like I maybe need to go, and we'll see you Monday.
See you Monday.